So hello everyone, in today's video I'm going to talk about React important hook, which is use effect. So I'm going to talk about all the use cases of the use effect and why we use it. So the reason why use effect is there in React in order to deal with the operations which are not part of the React. So what do I mean by that? Suppose if I have a code where that code is not familiar with the React, so I can put that code inside the use effect and I can make use of it. And also in a situation where I do not have any idea what output is gonna be in situation like APIs, because whenever we call APIs we use promises, and promises return three kind of returns, like it could be pending, it could be successful and rejected. So we are unsure about that, what is gonna be response for that, so we use effect. And also for the like functions which are not pure, so I'm gonna look each and everything with the slide I have. So we are gonna look into the use effect. Okay, so what is use effect? So use effect means to handle side effects inside React. So what is mean by side effects? So all the operations which are not part of the React, we call them side effects. And to handle side effects in React, we use effect. Side effects like set interval, set timeout, local storage. So these are not part of the React, we call them side effects. And also in the situation where we cannot predict the output and we are not sure about that, and for also impure function. So I'm gonna take a look into the impure function a little bit. So okay, so I'm gonna create a new file, some .js, and I'm gonna create a function which I'm gonna export, and the name would be of that function some, sorry for that. And this function gonna return me a plus 5. So whatever value I'm gonna provide here, gonna add 5 to it. So I'm gonna call this function with the 10. So this 10 will go here as a, and a plus 5 means 10 plus 5 will be 15. So I will not be able to see the output here. I have to first of all import it here. So I reload it. So I still cannot see that. What is the reason behind that? Return some. Oh, I am not console logging it. So whenever we have to see the output, we have to console log, means we have to print it, and we can see 15 as an output. And if I put here 15, I'll see 20 as an output. So I can say this is a pure function, because whatever the input I'll provide or whatever the argument I provide, I know what kind of output I'm gonna get, because every time this is gonna add 5 to that, and 20 plus 5 25, so I know I'm gonna get 25. But in the situation of impure function, how can I make it impure function? So suppose if I declare a variable with the name of b, and I'm gonna assign the value to it, let's say 10, and if I say a plus 5 plus b, so this is gonna provide me 35. So 20 plus 5 plus 10, 35. So this is a impure function. The reason, because we are using a global variable inside our function, so our output also depends on this variable. So if I change its value, let's say 12, so our output is also gonna change. So that's why I can say this is the impure function, because I cannot like be sure about the input I'm providing and I'm gonna get the same output according to the input I'm providing. So that's the reason this is a not a pure function anymore. So I'm gonna go and remove it as of now. So yeah, So we just looked into impure functions, and there are some ways and the examples where we use useEffect, like calling an API, which I have already talked about, and setting up subscription. So it's kind of like the subscription we get for Amazon Prime and Netflix. That's the same thing here, like the thing which we do first time, like when we see something or first time we subscribe something. In that situation we can say the subscription in terms of the coding. And updating the DOM elements manually, so when we have to update the DOM manually, we also use effect in that situation. And there are two more side effects which I talked about: set timeout or set interval. These are the web APIs provided from the browser, and this is used to delay, like set timeout is used to delay for a particular time, and set interval is used to delay for, like, we will give a specific time, and in that specific time our code is gonna run whatever the code we write inside our set interval. And console log is also like kind of the thing provided from the browser, and getting data from local storage and setting the data. These all are the side effects. And any action that is triggered by the system outside of React ecosystem is an effect and should be handled with use effect only. So yeah, this is also talking about side effect, and I also provide this slide in the description, so you can also take a look into that. So there are four ways using which we can use useEffect. So the first way is without an array of dependency. So what I'm gonna do to explain all the use ways of the useEffect, I'm gonna create a state here. So I'm gonna create a counter, and initial value will be 0. I'm gonna remove it. Okay, so I have to import it. H1 tag I'm gonna create, and here I'm putting counter, and inside this counter I'm putting state, so it will get 0 here, which I have put here. And if I put here 10, so it will show me there 10. So as of now I'm gonna put 0 here, and I'm also gonna put a button which is gonna increment the value of that count every time when I click on it. And this button is going to have on click, so every time when I click on this button, I want my count to be incremented by 1. Let's see if it's working. Yeah, it's working. Okay, and now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use effect. So this is the first syntax of the use effect. So just to check how my code runs inside the use effect if I do not provide any dependency here. So let me, alright. So if I click on add again, so you can also see that here is also printing every time when I click on add. So you can see 7, 8, 9 and 10. So this is also getting printed. So what we can see here, so every time my state changes or this component re-renders. So there are two situations when a component re-renders. The first situation is when a state changes. So in this situation, use state we are using, and this state we are changing with the help of the add button. That's the reason this value of the count is incrementing. So in this situation the state is changing. And the second situation, when we change the props, so in this component we are not receiving any prop, so that's the reason we are not using that, but the component is changing. So every time a component changes, this state changes, so this component re-renders, and it will also re-render the code which has been written inside this use effect. So that's the reason every time I click on add, this code is also gonna run. So this is the first use case of the use effect. And now I'm going to talk about the second use case of the use effect, which is with the array of dependency. So let me reload it first. Yeah. So okay. So the reason why you can see here two times here, because there is a strict mode. So it like prints the code two times. That's the reason you can see two times there, but now you are not gonna see that anymore. So now I have provided here array of dependency. So what is the use of that? Like how is it different from the use effect without that array of dependency? So in this situation, our code is not gonna run every time whenever my state changes. This code is only gonna run first time on the mount phase when my component re-renders first time. So mount phase means whenever my component re-renders first time, I can say that mount phase. And now if I click on add, anytime this is not gonna print, because this is not checking the code which is inside of it. This is only gonna run first time, and then this is not gonna run. And this is the second use case of the use effect. And now I'm going to talk about the third use case of the use effect, where I'm going to provide the value inside of that array of dependency, which is state. So now what is this different from the two other like use cases we just have seen of the use effect? So in this situation, whenever like whatever the value I provide inside this array, whenever this value changes, only then this code which is inside of this use effect is gonna run. So every time my state changes, this code is also gonna run. So you can see every time I click on add, this is also gonna print. So these are the three use cases, and there's also a fourth use case of the use effect, but there is not much use of that, where we sorry where we write a return function, and this return function is only run when something unmounts from my component, or this state or the value we provide here inside the array of dependency changes. So you see every time I click on add, here 2 is also going to print. So yeah, now let's come to the presentation. So we have seen without an array of dependency, and this is the syntax of that, and the callback is triggered whenever the component renders. So yeah, and component renders in two situations: when the state of the component changes and when the props of the component changes. So these are the two situations where a component re-renders. And this is the second use case of the React, where we put the second value, which is the array of dependency, and this is only gonna run it on the mount phase, like the first time when all the component renders. And this is the third use case: whenever this value changes, only then this logic is gonna run. So the callback is triggered once whenever the component mounts and when the value inside the array of dependency changes. And this is the last use case of the use effect with the help of the cleanup function, and this is gonna run in the two situations: when something unmounts from the component or something getting removed from the component. And the second use case, when this value changes, only in these two situations this return code or the return function is gonna run. So we call it as a cleanup function. So when the component unmounts and when the value inside the array of dependency changes, only then this code is gonna run. So yeah, this is all about this video, and thank you for watching.